Hi, Paul. Good afternoon. Yeah, my name's Jo Grimshaw. I'm head of antisocial behaviour and partnerships for Surrey Police. I head up a team of antisocial behaviour specialists who look after the ancillary orders under the Antisocial Behaviour Crime and Policing Act, and therefore our roles very much merge into the world of exploitation in regards to using closure orders and criminal behaviour orders and community protection notices to protect the vulnerable, but also to disrupt offenders. I also have the portfolio for children and young people before they get in the criminal justice system, and about how police can engage with young people to get a more positive experience between us and the police.
Now that's really interesting, Jo, because in my role to the NWG, I get asked all the time about what does a good disruption strategy look like? What does a disruption activity mean to you? So I guess, could I pose you that question? You know, what does a good disruption strategy or activity mean to you in Surrey?
For us in Surrey, it has to be multifaceted. The response. We can't police our way out of unfortunately exploitation. For every one OCG, so organised crime group, you take away, or county lines out of Surrey, there will be another 2 or 3 that will be following straight behind. So we have to look at actually how do we make it less comfortable for those exploiters to be working in Surrey, and how we can make the community stronger and more confident in actually, if they let us know what's going on, that we can and will actually work towards dealing with it, and more importantly, that actually they can take back some of their community. For me, the first thing is whilst yes, we can use the big red key and do lots of warrants, and we can bosh the doors in, that's fine. But normally what we find is when we actually open that door, there are vulnerable people behind there as well as the offenders. So we have to deal with that. And then there is the wider impact of that address or that type of behaviour on the wider community. And I think we have to be really aware that we ask the right questions of the community as well as the individuals that we're dealing with, because for every one individual that we find, I can guarantee you that there are 10, 15, maybe a whole community also struggling with the behaviour, either first hand or second hand within their community.
So it sounds like having a really good community engagement, community strategy is really important part of it. We've been trying to develop, as you say, with the NWG developed a disruption toolkit. I've just been tasked with updating the toolkit. I'm really interested in those areas of work that you do in Surrey. Then, how have you used the NWG Disruption Toolkit? What sort of usage have you had?
So I think for me that toolkit. So as soon as I was made aware of this toolkit, and I suppose this is where the world of antisocial behaviour has kind of really started to kind of be an influence and to offer what we have in regards to antisocial behaviour to actually deal with exploitation, whether it's exploitation of children, young people, or whether that's with adults. And I was hugely impressed with the toolkit and actually the amount of information that was in there. And I think one of the things for me, so for my 8 ASB specialists, it was make sure this is on your desktop or to hand, so that when we're out problem solving, we kind of fully understand potentially the options we have. Because again, if you look at that handbook, there's lots of pages in it. Not one per. I don't think there are many people in this country that probably could digest the whole of that and come up with it. But and what it does is you can read it, and then a little while later you've got a problem you need to solve, and you can remember that there was something around something in the housing department that maybe that they could do. They've got some great tools and powers to deal with housing, where people are tenants, etc. But you can't really remember it, and then it's because who do you ask? Well, actually, you can go to this toolkit, and it's really easy to actually kind of look at what should be on offer. It may not be actually on offer where you're working, which is again can be a little bit kind of annoying. But again, I think what I would say to the people listening today or watching today is that if your area is not using it, or hasn't got that ability to use it, then go away and challenge the fact that, why is that not available in my county, in my borough? Because anything that's in that toolkit has kind of been evaluated and is shown as best practice. So why wouldn't you want to use it? So I think for two hands, from a practitioner's point of view, it's really good to kind of look at anything. So again, I think, it's a practitioner's toolkit, not a police toolkit. Which is really good, but also for anyone that's dealing with the strategy and the kind of the longer term designing out issues, then again, it's a really good thing to kind of hold up and say, look, they're doing this in Surrey or they're doing this in Kent, and it's shown to work. So, let's try it. But also, what you also have is those contact details, so you can phone the SME and say, Kent, Surrey, how did you do that, and can you help?
Yes, and I know I've talked previously about building rationale into your decision making, and quite often actually it's what you decide not to do that's judged rather than what you do. And so I think something like a rationale that said that you reviewed the NWG toolkit and you looked at a range of options and you decided not to do certain activity, but you then chose to do something else. It helps to build a rationale and gives you a good argument, if there's any legal challenge. Now, I know you've been doing a lot of work with closure orders and partial closure orders there. Is that something, what advice can you give to your colleagues around the country about the use of those types of orders that we've also got highlighted in the tool?
So closure orders, we've seen a huge increase in our use of closure orders since 2018. 2018 saw us see quite a large, probably we did another probably 40-50% on the year before, and last year, even with COVID, we actually did 52 closure orders in Surrey, and some of those were 2 or 3 a week in regards to it, and most of those were partial closures. So most of those were around individuals who were being cuckooed by county lines, and there was quite a lot of serious violence in there. And this year already we're up to 20, so it's not like we're kind of seeing with the ease of lockdown that anything's getting better and worse. I think potentially in Surrey we've done quite a large campaign to the public to help them identify what's going on, because again, I think it's a bit of a hidden crime, cuckooing, and the first time we'll hear about it is actually as a complaint of antisocial behaviour. So partial closures have been really productive for us in dealing with the vulnerable victim who has lost control of their property, but also to keep the exploiters away from the door. It's given us the power to act on behalf of that vulnerable person. So I would say that if anyone's not using those now for those types of exploitation, for the exploitation that's linked to a property, go away and have a look at the handbook, have a read of what's on there. If you get the right team together, you can be doing these in kind of half a day if you come across a property, but they shouldn't be taking you months and months. So I would suggest if that is what's happening, you maybe need to look at your kind of policy and procedure around these orders, because it could be that actually the stumbling block is the courts or your legal team, rather than actually your troops on the ground who actually have got all the information together, but they don't know how to actually produce that to be a very good evidential bundle so that you can get in the court quite quickly.
Yes, and one of the courses that we've been talking about with our training provider, Sarah, is perhaps helping partners understand how they can build an evidence case for closure orders. So the closure orders are in the NWG toolkit. If you remember, you can have access to the NWG toolkit through the website, through the membership area. So, I mean, our big message is to use that, is to be proactive, work with the communities. And as we've just come to the end this afternoon, Jo, any top tips that you would give to practitioners around the country wanting to improve on their disruption strategies?
I think the main thing for me, working for the police and talking to my police colleagues, is you can't do it on your own. So you need to kind of trust your professionals around you and other practitioners. So consider bringing in housing or your community safety team. If you're looking at doing a warrant, look at the possibilities of bringing them early and bringing them along when you actually do that piece of work, because when you get it right, you can be doing that warrant, you can be taking the drug dealer or the exploiter out. But if you've also then got the community safety team behind you, so that actually the park keeper is talking about it in the park that same day, when your community are out there going, oh, did you see they put in three doors today down our street? I don't know what that was about. That actually the park ranger can be saying, oh, do you know what, that's actually part of a warrant and part of a piece of work we are doing in Woking or Guildford as a joint piece of partnership work, and actually we're all involved in stamping out this type of behaviour. So I would say be brave, and trust each other in confidence that actually doing it together will make a difference.
Definitely, and I think that's a really good message. That so you're saying to brief all the teams so they know what's going on, so they can disseminate that message to the public. I really like that. Jo, it's been fascinating. Thank you so much. Carry on the good work down there. I'm sure, knowing Jo as I do now, if you've got any queries, anyone that's watching, and you want to find out more about how Surrey Police are dealing with county lines, drug dealing and the closure orders, then I'm sure you can certainly get in touch with Jo. You can certainly get in touch with myself at NWG. So thank you very much for your input, and you take care, Jo.
You're welcome. Thank you.